Reviewing Gears of War so many years after its release obviously feels like preaching to the choir. It's already made millions. It's already gained so much popularity that simply saying its name to any gamer will immediately have them go, yeah, I know what that is. Yet when all that is said and done, I still hadn't played it yet. And after recently getting an Xbox 360, I decided to grab a copy and see what all the fuss was about. After playing it, I can honestly say that Gears of War is no doubt a fun game. But Gears isn't perfect. So much hype about the game, especially the first one, pretty much claims that it can do no wrong. However, during my time with the game, I found a number of problems that, while don't kill the experience, hold it back from true greatness. Starting off, the story is the biggest setback. Obviously, games in history do expect you to catch on quickly, and not many hold your hand while pushing you into the deep end as the game itself. The Gears essentially acts like you've been along the ride since the beginning, and never really offers, in theater terms, a witch's cauldron. This problem is especially exacerbated if you get the game without the manual. If you don't have the manual, you'll never know that the events of the game take place on an alien planet, and not on Earth. You'll also be in the dark about what Emergence Day is, and what has happened to humanity. It almost feels like basic information is treated like the typical, you don't need to know information. During my time playing the game, what I got from the story was that there was a last-ditch effort to launch some kind of counterattack against the main antagonist in the game, the Locust, and it involved some type of map radar scan and launching some unspecific weapon called a light mass bomb. Never was this fully explained, especially with what this ultimate weapon was. There was a complete and utter lack of any story or background. This leads to the other problem I found with the game, is that there is a blaringly poor sense of direction when it comes to how the game progresses. I swear that there were levels thrown in just to extend your time in the game. The purpose of these levels are never really explained. Also, most of the time, I never really knew where I was going. I knew I had to get there and do something. What? I didn't know. But hey, at least the game's linearity helped keep me in the right direction. I never thought I'd say this, but the fact that this game was linear actually was a good thing. The worst aggressor of this problem is the final level. Keep in mind that the final level was actually really fun, but nothing indicated that the final level was in fact the final level. I thought I was boarding a train to get to a destination just to find out, due to the credits rolling, that that train was the final destination. While the story has problems, the gameplay is exhilarating, exciting, and epically badass. When it came to gameplay, the only complaints I had was with the speed of the main character, the ammo count on weapons, and the forced process of attaching a cover before you can fall over it. The latter is pretty self-explanatory, and as for the former, it's not a deal breaker, but it gets annoying when the top speed I can move is a casual jog. As for the middle child of the gameplay problems, the ammo count was a blaring one. With exception of the Lancer, Shotgun, and Locust rifle, every weapon could only hold a small amount of ammo. And since those weapons aren't frequently found, you'll rarely ever hold on to them except for key moments. Everything else about the gameplay is top-notch. The action is frantic. The guns are undeniably cool, especially the Lancer. The moment I got a hold of the legendary rifle with the chainsaw, I tried to kill every baddie on the field with the chainsaw. A word of warning, if you try that approach, you will die a lot. Gears of War is not an easy game. In fact, it's quite challenging at times. I once read a review claiming that the easiest setting was a breeze and that you should start on the next highest setting. Here's a tip. Don't do that. I actually didn't expect how often I was going to die, especially when it comes to boss fights. Admittedly, the boss fights are uniquely different to the point that they feel fresh and different from the standard boss fights one finds in every game. The encounters of these few bosses are impressive, except for the last one. The final boss fight isn't bad, it's just not as inventive as all the other boss fights in the game. Visually, the game looks great, but has some problems. To start, there is a nice variety in the levels. Admittedly, all the levels look gray, brown, and a combination of in between, but the locations are all different enough that I never got bored with them. It's rare that a game has this much variety with its locations, except for color of course. The graphics are spot on in this game. Rain effects are outstanding, and splatter effects, dust, blood, and environments all look great. However, there are several visual inconsistencies that hamper the visual quality. The most common is with texture fade-in. There were numerous times when the graphics looked like an original Xbox game, and then the graphics popped back in, bringing it back to 360 standards. Another inconsistent problem is with shadows. Environmental shadows look great, but the character shadows, especially with shadows on the face, are downright broken. Seeing moving black spots on a character's face is a poor excuse for shadows. The game had a decent amount of replayability. While not great, it's fair. The campaign is a standard length and sports multiple difficulties. Gears also comes with a level select, which is always appreciated, and comes with 2-player co-op, either online or on the couch with a buddy. There was an online-only multiplayer mode, but if you're like me, you don't spend too much time online with your games. And achievements do offer a few good reasons to jump back into the game. Depending on which version you should get, in terms of what has the most content, the PC version contains an additional chapter that extends the life of the game by a couple hours. However, the PC version is rather pricey. If you don't have a large wallet, the Xbox 360 version is right for you. Gears of War isn't a bad game. In fact, it's actually really fun and badass. However, it's not as perfect as everyone has screamed it was. It has a fair share of problems, but still manages to overcome those problems with solid gameplay that launched a series. You haven't taken the plunge into the series yet, then you should give it a try. Just don't expect too much out of the story. We rate this an 8 out of 11. Be sure to check back in for more videos, and, if at all possible, please subscribe.